Coming up on 30 seconds until airtime. Mark, 30 seconds until airtime. Once again, stations, if you encounter technical issues during the broadcast, please call the Oregon Studio Hotline at 336-831-0864. Stations, your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck. Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound, tap it in! 1 point more to go!
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field, back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Joey Mack here with you for a Thursday edition. Tomorrow's show, programming note, we'll have things a little bit earlier for you because the Ducks are traveling down to Berkeley. That's right. Bay Area, one of the largest alumni bases for Oregon athletics and for Oregon students, and I'm excited to see a lot of green and yellow around Memorial Coliseum. I feel like it's going to be a good Oregon crowd. Hope to see a lot of you out there when the Ducks take on Cal. A 12:30 kickoff on Fox Sports 1. We'll have a 10:30 pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. Terry Johns anchoring things, taking you up to kickoff, including a great conversation with Oregon assistant coach Tony Tuioti. He just talked with him yesterday, and Terry was stoked at how awesome the interview was when we talked for the Oregon Football Coaches Show last night. If you missed last night's Oregon Football Coaches Show, Dan Lanning was great with Jerry and Jorgie. Brandon Dorless, dare I say, was the star of the show, though, last night. He did give us the starting five if the Oregon football team had a starting five in basketball. He put himself as the shooting guard. Josh Delgado was the point guard. Originally, he said Stephen Jones would play the 3. He then amended that to say that Stephen Jones would play the 4. And Terrence Ferguson, who was a heck of a player in high school, he would be on that starting rotation as well. And then he said that Sala, after Dan Lanning yesterday with General Media, said that Malasala Amove-Laulu would be a really, really good basketball player. He said, yeah, he'll be on the team. So there's your starting five, according to Brandon Dorless. Take that for what you will. He also said that he would win a foot race with Tony Washington. He was referencing that play where Tony against Florida State, now a current GA for the team, but then when he was playing, he picked up the ball, ran it into the end zone after Jameis Winston fumbled. Brandon Dorless is giving his now GA a little bit of a hard time, and I want everybody to know I got a text from Tony Washington last night that said, well, shoot, I guess now I got to race Dorless. No word yet on if Dorless has accepted this invite for a sprint off, but I feel like it's probably coming. Maybe I'll find out on the plane tomorrow if they, in fact, have raced. We'll find out. On today's show, we're going to talk with Bucky Irving and Terrence Ferguson, some offensive guys previewing this matchup 12:30 on Saturday between the Ducks and the Golden Bears. And Todd McKim, voice of Cal Athletics, will be with us. Todd had worked at Oregon before. He's an awesome guy, one of my favorites to chat with. We have that for you coming up next segment. And then Shalane Flanagan. We sat down with the Oregon assistant coach for distance and cross country ahead of the Pac-12 championships that are coming your way tomorrow. Keep up to date on Pac-12 Network. It's really an all-day affair for the cross-country Pac-12 championships. That's tomorrow, and we'll have some updates for you as well. But it will be an early show tomorrow from noon to 1. Noon to 1, if you're live with us normally in the 1 o'clock hour, that's when we're going to do Duck Insider. Jerry, Jorgie, Jordan, myself will all be here. Scott has to be here, unfortunately. Sometimes. I'm happy to report that Scott will not be playing me this week, so that's a good thing. Hey, thanks for not changing any of my picks, though. All right? I want everybody to know he actually did keep to his word. contrary to what I thought would happen. I really thought that after texting in picks, would have to then go back on Monday and say, no, here's the proof of the text that I sent. But thanks, Scott. You played it right. You played it right. So that was nice of you. And we do have a Pac-12 game tonight, and so for some reason, the guys all decided to pick that game last week. And I have a bone to pick. Because the rules in picks are that once your pick is made and the next pick is made behind you, your pick is locked in. Well, I wasn't here last week to actually enforce the rules because there are rules in picks, contrary to popular belief. Jerry picked Washington State. And then at the end of it was like, no, I'm going to change it to Utah. You remember this, right? Everybody remembers this, okay? Go to the tape if you don't remember it, okay? Jerry picked Washington State. Now, on the official spreadsheet that Jordan filled out for me, Brenner's got everybody picking Utah. By the way, I didn't pick Utah. Scott did. I'm going to pick Utah. I'm picking Utah. But, guys, I got a bone to pick. The game is tonight. Jerry was at practice this morning. I think he's talking with Coach Lanning right now, actually. But, Jerry, if you're listening, if you're watching, live in the 1 o'clock hour, are you still picking Utah? Are you going to break the rules? And we're just going to say that it's chaos and anarchy for your Sylvan Ridge Winery picks? Or are you going to come back and give us a real pick? Scott, what do you think? He's going to say it was legal. That's kind of how I feel, too. In any case, everybody, I guess, picked Utah. It's going to be a really boring game in terms of picks tonight. And then tomorrow we'll pick the rest of the games. And, of course, a full preview of Oregon and Cal. Yeah. Anyway, bone to pick. That's what I get for not being there on a Friday, though. You know, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Softball season tickets are now on sale. Packages begin at $125. They can be purchased online, goducks.com. 2023 schedule still being finalized, but UCLA, Arizona, Stanford, and Utah will be visiting Jane Sanders Stadium this season. Tickets on sale. Season ticket packages. Head to goducks.com for Oregon softball season ticket packages. All right, let's hear from some of the offensive players, beginning with the first running back all year to go over 100 yards in a game. Bucky Irving did that against UCLA. Prior, Bo Nix was the only Oregon player to ever go over 100 yards on the ground. It's been by committee. Irving, Whittington, Jordan James, Sean Dollars in different situations. Bucky Irving meeting with the media.
Care too much about being the lead back. I know we got great running backs in the room that contribute and do the same thing that I'm doing also.
UCLA came into Saturday averaging, or allowing less than 100 yards to an opponent on the ground. You guys broke over 200. Just what did that mean to you guys as a group?
I mean, I just want to always thank the guys up front on the amazing job that they're doing on the in and out daily basis. I feel like them guys don't get enough credit on how they prepare and come to work every day, knowing that their body's hurting, everybody's body's hurting, but they come out and work every day.
You had two key plays with Nix, where on a 3rd and 12 you break out of the backfield, and then that 4th and 4 on the touchdown pass. Just what's your relationship like with Nix and that chemistry that you guys have?
I mean, it's just a chemistry that I got so much trust in him, and he got trust in me. Just big part of him knowing the game, been around the game for a long time. I just try to piggy off his games or what he's seen. He tell me what I could do better. Also, I feel like that helped me a lot.
You hear a play call and you realize that it's something where Shala's going to be pulling and getting up to the second level. How much confidence do you have that you're breaking free?
I got a lot of confidence in Sala and the whole O-line. I feel like they do a great job every week.
Is this one of the best O-lines you've ever run behind?
Minnesota had a pretty good O-line too, so it's probably tip and tack.
That 4th and 4, that touchdown that you had, it looked, on at least from our perspective up top and on the broadcast, like that UCLA defensive back was pretty close to. Was there a big gap, or did Bo thread the needle on that one? I mean,
we had the same look in practice, so it also transferred over to the game. In practice, I actually stopped on it and kept running, so we had made an adjustment on me. Just if the corner's in cover 2 squat sitting, I just run by him and he was just gonna fit it right there in the pocket.
How does this environment from last week kind of compare to the best environments you've played in your career?
I really don't pay too much to the crowd. I be so locked in on the game, but it's always a great atmosphere in Auction Stadium.
You guys ran 5-man protection on both that play and the 3rd and 12 that Bo hit you on down the sideline. Both of you in your previous spots, I'm not sure how many 5-man protections you're going to run on those kind of obvious passing situations necessarily. What is it like to play with an aggressive offensive coordinator and a quarterback who can kind of see those things?
I mean, they've been around the game for a long time, so it's pretty easy that they can dial things up like that. Also, learning from him, knowing that he's been around the game for a long time, I just take little things out and listen to what he got to say to me and not just fix it if it need to be a correction.
How'd it feel to hit over 100?
It felt great.
How much is that a weekly goal that you have, or is it just you take it kind of as it comes, or do you want to hit? I mean, naturally you're running.
I take it as it comes. I really don't pay too much to the stats and I need 100 yards, I need 100 yards. I really don't pay too much. I just go out there on my numbers card and do what's contribute the best for the team.
What do you see from Cal's run defense?
Cal run defense?
Yeah.
I feel like they have a great defense. We got to come prepare and just be ready to go out there and play.
That's a humble running back, Bucky Irving, isn't it? I mean, that's a guy who's going over 100 yards, but he just does what's best for the team. That's what it's all about. And continuing with a guy who might actually be the best basketball player on the team, I'm going to be honest. Sorry, Brandon Dorless, last night. Terrence Ferguson has had a tremendous season for the Ducks playing tight end. And, man, he is such a mismatch and such a weapon. And I feel like could be again against Cal's pretty good defense. One of the best in the conference over the course of the year, and especially in terms of scoring defense. Terrence Ferguson meeting with the media previewing the matchup on Saturday.
Cal this week?
They're a good team, so we got to prepare for them. They have a really good defense that plays really disciplined, so we have to really lock in for this week and not get penalties that hurt ourselves.
Gotcha.
Really.
Any specific playmakers that stand out for them on the defensive side of the ball?
I'll just say overall, like their whole defense plays pretty good together, and they keep everything in front of them and just kind of make you make a mistake and get behind the sticks to beat them. So.
Gotcha. This season you've been sort of a red zone dwelling target. You get a lot of targets in the red zone, a lot of touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see yourself doing more damage in the down and distance area? From the 40 to the 40.
Being a tight end is kind of like your big body, so you get used in the red zone a lot more.
Right.
But there's also opportunities that have presented themselves in 3rd and longs, and they're also going to the big bodies and me, Mo, Cam, all of us, and even Pat, running routes. I think we haven't really gotten that much of 3rd and longs and 3rd downs in the 40 to 40. We've moved the ball pretty well and not got behind the sticks, where we're having to do 3rd and 7 or 3rd and long. So we've really had like 3rd and shorts, and we're just going to pound the rock and get it. So it's not been a big problem for us to have. So
speaking of pounding the rock, you guys have been doing that really well the last couple of weeks. How have you seen yourself doing in the blocking game along with the other tight ends?
We've been doing really well. We've grown a lot, and there's a lot of personnel, like where we've been going 14 and 13 and 12, so multiple tight ends on the field making big blocks. So we've done a really good job of making sure that we're out there, and you can tell that because we go 13 and 14 personnel. They want the big bodies out there to block. So
you guys bringing that out against Cal this week?
Yeah, of course. We bring it every week, so that's our 14J and 13 personnel stay on there. So
got you.
When you're at a deep position group, it's one thing for coaches to say, "Oh, don't worry, we're going to figure out ways to get everybody the ball," but to actually have it happen. I mean, just how much fun are you guys having as a room, knowing even though there's a bunch of guys, they're going to find ways to get you involved and let you make plays?
It's really fun just because our group is so tight, and we're all happy for each other's success. So when Cam scores a touchdown, I'm just as excited as Cam is on the sideline running out there for him. When Mo's scoring a touchdown, and vice versa. So, I think that's a big thing, is just we're so connected and we're really tight as a group. We're all getting the ball and we're all getting excited about each other's success. So. Okay.
I guess what have you seen from those other guys so far this year?
They've done really well, We've all been able to get on the field a lot.
Right.
Been able to get some targets and touchdowns, and I think it's been really big for our room. If you look at last year, just the improvement we've made, getting those guys' backs, and me and Mo making strides as well. So I think it's been really big in our development. We've done a really good job so far. So we still have a lot more that I think we can do out there. So.
Right. There's always a lot of talk about outside noise with you guys. I think you're getting a lot of recognition as a tight end right now. You guys are getting a lot of recognition as a team. How are you just kind of staying focused, especially with a couple, I'd say, lesser opponents coming up on the schedule?
We're trying to just make it week by week and day by day. So just come out and get better each day throughout the week and not really, we say like a nameless, faceless opponent. So whoever it is, we're playing Oregon. We're not playing Cal. We're not playing Colorado. We're trying to play the best football that we can play each week. So I think we're just trying to kind of stay dialed into that and just come to practice each day and get better. So.
Terrence Ferguson, that's a good answer to that question. It's about the process, right? We hear that a lot in sports, but I'll tell you what, if you start going into practices and thinking about the big picture all the time, it can get a little bit overwhelming. You got to have that ability to close things out and think about just the next opponent that's right in front of you. When we come back, Todd McKim, voice of the Golden Bears. We're going to talk with him and get a little preview of this matchup between the Ducks and Cal. 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. Todd McKim joins us next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimate CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimate CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/Drug Facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you. Todd McKim is joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Todd, it's always great to see you. Anytime the Ducks match up with the Golden Bears, it's one of my favorite games of the year just because we get to talk to you, sir. How are things?
Things are terrific, Joey. The season's been a little bit rough, but I always enjoy this game as well because there's just so many people associated with the University of Oregon, the athletic department, that I've had long relationships. Not as many as there were, maybe 10 years ago, but still a lot of people that I know, and of course a lot of the fans I know as well. So it's always an exciting week for me as well.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, let's talk a little bit about this matchup. Season so far, summarize it for Duck fans. What's gone on for the Golden Bears?
What coulda, shoulda, I think is maybe the best way to describe it. They've lost 3 games by 7 points or less. Kind of unfortunately a trend in the last 2 years. They've lost 9 of the last 10 games that have been single-digit games, so that's frustrating. The defense has been good, maybe not quite to the same level, Joey, as previous Wilcox defenses, but part of that has been the fact that the offense has struggled so mightily, particularly since they scored 49 points against Arizona. The last 3 games, the offense has scored a total of 43 points. That's in 3 games combined. So they're really struggling in the offensive line. But they're hoping that, again, the defense can keep it close and they can find a way to win a game. that's down to 7 points or less.
You know, we've talked about this up here, Todd, and on the coaches show last night, Jerry Jorge and I were talking about it. The one possession losses for Cal, it really jumps off the page to us up here. Seems like this year Cal could be 6-1, and it wouldn't shock that many Golden Bear fans.
No, it wouldn't. And I think if you had said before the season they have a good chance of being 6-1, I think there's a lot of people would have said, yeah, I think there is a possibility, because it looked as though the lighter portion of the schedule was the first half of the schedule. And the second half will be a gauntlet of really good teams coming down the stretch, starting with the Ducks. But, a close loss at Notre Dame, they're throwing a Hail Mary that was actually almost caught at the end of the game.
Yeah.
A game where there was an egregious penalty that really flipped the tenor of that game in Notre Dame's favor. Then they lost a tough one at Washington State. It's 14-9 early in the fourth quarter. They got a chance to win that one. Colorado, it goes to overtime. They dropped 2 passes for touchdowns in the overtime period. They got first and goal from the 7 in regulation to win the thing, and they couldn't get a touchdown there. And then last week against the Huskies, they're down 6-0 at the half. They score on the first drive of the second half, despite being outplayed in that first half. They got the lead. It's 7-6, and they led even later in the ball game as well, and could not hold off the Huskies. So it's been pretty frustrating for Cal fans so far this season.
Well, talk about the defense a little bit, if you could, Todd. You mentioned it's not quite as good as maybe it has been, but I think Duck fans, they know what a Justin Wilcox coach team wants to look like. I think a lot of fans around college football are still thinking, hey, it must be a defensive team. What's the breakdown of the defense for the Golden Bears?
Well, the one thing they've done a decent job of is stopping the run. They're one of the best in the conference. They've done a good job in scoring defense. They were one of the top teams in our league in scoring defense as well, about 22 points a game. But the areas where they have struggled, one is they have not been able to get a consistent pass rush. And so if you can't rush the passer, get him off his mark, make him play left-handed, so to speak, other than Michael Penix last week at Washington. Of course, you want to make him play right-handed. And so they're giving up a lot of yards. It's become a bit of a bend but don't break philosophy. We saw that last week against the Huskies. I would think maybe a similar philosophy against the Ducks this week. The one thing they've been extremely good at the last 2 years is the turnover margin. Okay, they're +8. They've only turned it over 4 times. They've created 12. And I think they've got to get a minimum of 2 against Oregon to have a chance in the ball game on Saturday.
You know, you bring up a great point. It's like you're reading my bullet points, Todd. So we're on the same page because, Coach Lanning actually brought this up last night before we could even ask him about it. Very similar, that the turnover margin has really been in the favor of the Golden Bears. That is a key in this game, isn't it?
Well, I don't think there's any question. I mean, the last 6 games played between these two teams, despite, Oregon's, great run over the last certainly 4 or 5 years, has been 7 points or less in the last 6 games. So the Bears have to hang their hat on the defense. They have to find a way to put Bo Nix in some confusing situations. He's having a phenomenal run here recently. So it's a mighty chore to say the least, but that's certainly something Cal has to do if they're going to have any chance in this game.
Todd McKim with us, continuing breaking down this game. You talked about the turnover margin, and I'm going to continue talking about it because I think it is the key to the game. The defense creating takeaways is one thing, but the offense taking care of the football. What's been the key there? How good has Plummer been? Because I'll tell you, Coach Lanning has been pretty complimentary of the Cal quarterback.
Well, he's a bright quarterback. He can make all the throws. When he's not running for his life, he can be very accurate, but that's been the problem. So when you put pressure on a quarterback, more often than not, it speeds up his thought process, speeds up his reads. Sometimes you can jump some routes as a result, or you maybe get a quarterback to throw off balance. I'm sure that's what Oregon would like to do in the game on Saturday. But if he has time, he's been a pretty accurate quarterback. And he has shown the ability early in the season, Joey, to scramble out of the pocket. The Notre Dame game in particular, he had 3 or 4 runs of over 10 yards to keep drives alive. But he has been nicked up a little bit, hurt his left knee against Washington State. So his mobility has been diminished a bit, but he's a little bit more elusive than, maybe you would think.
Talk about the offensive line. It sounds like that's been a little bit of a struggle, Todd.
Do we have to?
I guess we don't have to. That answers that question. Todd McKim, we continue.
We'll talk about it. I mean, it's a group that they've had to shuffle around. They lost before the season started. They had a 3-year starting guard transfer to Oklahoma. Okay, they had their starting left tackle. It was a highly rated kid coming out of Granite Bay High School in Northern California. A 2-year starter, injured much of his career, retired. So now you've lost 2 starters before the season's even started. They're playing a true freshman at one of the guard spots. They have lost their best offensive lineman for the season, Matt Cindric, a 4-year starter, very bright kid, was a nominee for the Campbell Award. He's done for the season. They've moved a tackle into guard. They're putting in a tackle that hasn't played a whole lot this year at left tackle. Right tackle's a transfer from Montana State. He struggled in protection. So it's a mismatched offensive line right now. And that's, they've given up a bunch of sacks. They're averaging 3.3 sacks per game. And for a quarterback that is not Bo Nix, who is not Jaden DeLora, who is not DTR, that makes it more problematic for the offense in totality.
Well, a guy that Duck fans are very familiar with, Steve Greatwood, a couple weeks ago came back to the Cal program as an analyst, was Todd, I mean, you got to think from the outside looking in, it's like, well, hey, the offensive line could improve with a little bit of help from that guy. Steve Greatwood, former Duck coach for a long time, been at Cal. What can you tell us about that?
Well, Steve returned from Germany. He coached over there in the spring and the summertime, lives in Bend, Oregon. Of course, fans are very familiar with his long tenure with the Ducks from Churchill High School. So he's not going to turn around in a week, okay?
Yeah.
He might not turn it around in 2 or 3 weeks, but he's there for another set of eyes and another perspective on whether it's play calling, situational football, technique on the offensive line. He cannot, as an analyst / consultant, work directly with the players.
Right.
He's working directly with the coaches. He's down at Cal Sunday through Thursday. He comes back up to Bend, for the weekend. So he can't be involved in the game day itself. So it's another set of eyes and a few more ideas that maybe they can use.
Todd McKim joining us. Let's talk a little bit about the running game because there's no doubt that nationally, Jaden Ott jumped off the page, Todd. He's pretty darn good as a running back for this team.
He is. He's a former Oregon commit. I think he committed as a sophomore to the Ducks and then decided to transfer to Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas. And as a private school, Bishop Gorman does not let you graduate early. And he wanted to be in spring football wherever he went to school. So he left Bishop Gorman, went back to Norco down in Southern California. He's been a terrific player. He had that huge game against Arizona, breakout game. He's a midseason freshman All-American. He's got all the skills. I mean, in my opinion, having watched him, through fall ball practices and in the games, there's no doubt in my mind he could play for any team in our conference. Pick a team, he could play. Would he be the starter? I don't know, but he'd be in the rotation. There's no doubt about it. He is that talented, good receiver out of the backfield most of the time as well. And he is a willing blocker. He will stay in the backfield and pick up blitzes. So he is an all-around football player, a really humble kid who is one of the leading rushers in our conference right now.
You mentioned the gauntlet of the season that's coming for Cal's schedule. What's the crowd going to be like? What's the fan base feeling like heading into this game?
Well, they're disappointed in general. So, last week we had the Huskies in town. We honored Marshawn Lynch, Justin Forsett, a couple of the greats. Marshawn got in the golf cart again and rode around the stadium just before the third quarter. It was pretty funny stuff. Typical Marshawn. And then ESPN, interviewed him, and he dropped a couple of F-bombs during the interview as kind of Marshawn-esque. So I think that helped the crowd last week. This week, I don't know. I'll be interested to see how many Oregon fans come down. I've talked to some of my friends that live in Oregon, and originally they were going to make this trip, but now they don't think it's going to be that great of a game. They're going to save their money for maybe another trip somewhere down the road. Yeah, so I don't know. I would guess somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 35,000. So that the stadium capacity has been reduced down to about 52,000. So I would guess somewhere in the 30 to 35,000 for the crowd.
Yeah, I was curious because, the Bay Area, Todd, is one of the biggest alumni bases for the University of Oregon. So it's always a big game when you go to Cal, when you go to Stanford for the Ducks. So I was curious. We continue with Todd McKim. You've touched on this a little bit, Todd. I think you have a really unique perspective because I ask this question to every broadcaster that we bring on. What's the view of Oregon from the fan base of the team that you're broadcasting for? If you go up to the average Cal fan and say, hey, what do you think of Oregon? What are they saying right now?
Well, they'd probably say they're having great success. They've done a great job recruiting. I think they probably, if you would ask a Cal fan, and list the order of teams that you would like to beat the most, you'd probably start with Stanford. Then it would probably be USC, UCLA, and then I think it would be Oregon. Okay. And I would think it would be in that order. So there's respect. There's also, I would think, a little jealousy, to be honest with you. I mean, Oregon's had a phenomenal run over the course of the last 20 years. Cal fans would love to have that same run of success. They haven't had much success over the course of the last 60 years. So there's a little bit of a number of different emotions, I think, if you ask a typical Cal fan.
All right, I want to go beyond this game before I finish with you on this ball game, but there's certainly a lot of headlines about conference realignment, media deals. Todd, you follow the same things that I do. I think that Cal fans have again, a unique perspective on UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten. What are Golden Bear fans feeling about this right now, about the state of the Pac-12, the going to be Pac-10, and about the relationship with Cal and UCLA that has made, beyond sports headlines in California, but really news headlines in California?
I would say most of the Cal fans would be pissed, if I can use that word, Joey. Certainly with UCLA. I mean, USC, they've been talking about, they've had a wandering eye for a number of years now.
Yeah.
But I think the move by UCLA obviously makes sense because of the tie-in with USC, LA, the rivalry between those two. That makes sense. But they were blindsided by UCLA making the move. And there's going to be a Board of Regents meeting. Yep. I think it's mid-November, 15th or 17th, somewhere in there, where the Board of Regents, I don't think, is going to deny UCLA the opportunity to go to the Big Ten. But there could be other ramifications, whether it's monetary or some other quasi-political ramifications after that meeting. So we'll have to wait and see. My feeling, Joey, is that Oregon, Washington, Stanford, and Cal would be teams most likely to go to the Big Ten if an offer was forthcoming. Stanford and Cal for two reasons. One, academically, and two, the size of the media market, which is number 6 in the country, although it is not a big college football media market, okay? Portland's better than the Bay Area when you talk about TV viewership because of the Ducks and the Beavers. But on the other side of the coin, I don't know from an academic standpoint, Joey, whether or not the Big Ten presidents want to be the group that eliminates the Pac-12 conference because there is such a tremendous academic tie between those two conferences. So if it does happen, I envision it being 4 teams, Washington, Oregon, Stanford, and Cal. If it's just 2 teams, Washington and Oregon would seem to be the logical choices, but then you're going to break up the Pac-10 conference.
Yeah.
I do believe no matter what happens, there will be Pac-10 expansion, with San Diego State being the logical choice. And I don't know that the Pac-10, 11, or 12, whatever it's going to be, needs to go beyond that because they've already eliminated the process of having divisions. So if you don't have divisions, and they've already said they're going to go to an 8-game conference schedule, you don't need to get to 12 or 14. So that's my feeling on that. I also believe if you're Washington and Oregon, if you want to participate in the college football playoff, your best chance is to stay in the Pac-10 conference. That's just my feeling. Oregon obviously has a national program, but they're going to have to butt heads repeatedly with Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State. Not that they can't beat them, but it just makes it a little bit more difficult to win that conference, and same with the Huskies. That's why I think UCLA actually has the toughest road to hoe. I think it's going to be difficult for them to finish in the top 3 or 4 in the Big Ten Conference on a consistent basis. Now, it ain't up to me. It's obviously the suits in LA and the suits in Bristol, Connecticut that are going to make this decision. So a lot to be determined. It's kind of a fascinating time for me. In fact, if you ask my friends, I told them 20 years ago, I thought there'd be 4 major conferences in college football. And we're kind of heading in that direction right now.
At the end of the day, who the heck knows what what's going to happen. I like that answer, Todd. I like it because you're right. I mean, yeah, we're all just along for the ride at this point, and there's a lot of emotions and money and traditions and everything that's on the table. All right, back to this game. I'll leave you with this. So you talked about turnover margin. I think that's going to be the biggest key in this game. Keys to success, what's it take for the Golden Bears to get what I think a lot of people would say is an upset over Oregon on Saturday?
I think it'd be a huge upset, but obviously you have to steal possessions. Turnovers can be a part of that, as we saw last week, and onside kick can be part of that as well. Yeah. That turned the game around for the Ducks against UCLA. So you got to steal possessions, and I think they have to have at least a minimum of 2 of those, and they have to figure out a way to make the Ducks drive the football 10, 12 plays to score touchdowns. Because if the Ducks are getting those 50-yard bombs to Troy Franklin downfield, and Bo Nix is running for 80 yards and the quarterback keeps, it's going to be a long day. They have to slow the game down. It's almost like basketball where the team uses the entire 30 seconds of the shot clock. They have to shorten the game, shorten the number of possessions to have a chance to win.
Todd McKim joining us. Todd, thanks always for taking the time, and I look forward to seeing you in Berkeley this weekend. Todd McKim. When we come back, we're going to hear a little bit from Shalane Flanagan. The Pac-12 cross-country championships are coming up tomorrow. Hearing from the distance coach on the women's side next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Unused prescription opioid pain medicines can spell trouble. They can spell risk if taken by someone they weren't prescribed for, harm if accidentally taken by a child or pet, or overdose if they're not used as directed. Safely dispose of opioids before they can hurt your family. Find a drug take-back option such as medicine drop boxes. You may find these in your community at local pharmacies or police stations. Visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Talking cross-country, track and field with Shalane Flanagan coming up. But first, just coming in, some news and notes as women's basketball hosts Carroll College in the Lone Exhibition after the Ducks are ranked number 21 in the number 20 in the preseason AP poll. That Lone Exhibition against Carroll College Friday, 6 p.m., Matthew Knight Arena. Our guys at the student radio station KWVA will have the broadcast for that Lone Exhibition. No live stream, so that means the guys at KWVA have you covered completely. They will paint a picture with their words. No pressure. No pressure. No, it's going to be fun for those broadcasters at KWVA. And remember, it is a little bit of a new look roster, but a lot of great returners coming back. That's what I'm excited for with this Oregon women's basketball team. We'll hear a little bit from Kelly Graves on the program tomorrow because Tina Pau returning after averaging 17.6 points per game. Ducks are coming off their 5th consecutive NCAA tournament appearance a season ago and returned 6-letter winners, welcome in 5 newcomers for this year's roster. The official campaign begins Monday, November 7th at 3 p.m. against Northwestern, a pretty doggone good team. So that first exhibition, more details available on GoDucks.com. But yeah, the preseason poll has the Ducks at number 20. If you missed it earlier, talking about softball, tickets are on sale. GoDucks.com. Softball season tickets are on sale. All right, we got to get a timeout. Come back. Ran a little bit long with Todd McKim. Then we'll hear from Shalane Flanagan talking cross country and a whole lot more as we get to know one of the new Duck assistant coaches. When we return, our Slocum Center Minute, talking this week about robotic arms and how they help in surgery. I thought this was really interesting learning about this. Coming back with Shalane Flanagan on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Center Orthopedic Doctors are located here in Eugene and are the official orthopedic team physicians for your Oregon Ducks. With me, I have Dr. Mark Mildren, a hip and knee surgeon at Slocum Center for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, discussing Mako robotic arm-assisted technology for joint replacement. Dr. Mildren, tell us about Mako robotic arm-assisted technology for joint replacement.
So one of the latest iterations in technology in knee replacements is using robotics as well as navigation to place our components. Usually in knee replacement, we place the components first and then adjust soft tissue tension later so that the patient has a balanced knee. One of the benefits with the Mako robotic assisted knee is that we can actually make small tweaks to the component positioning to minimize trauma to the soft tissue and essentially balance the knee without making some of those releases. It enables a little bit less soft tissue damage as well as gets our components in a little bit more accurately.
Who's the ideal candidate for one of these types of replacements?
So really any patient that needs a knee replacement could potentially benefit from a Mako knee replacement.
Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Mildren.
Thank you.
That was the Slocum Center Minute, brought to you by Slocum Center for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, the official orthopedic sports medicine team physicians for University of Oregon Athletics since 1967.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon Athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. With honest conversations that let them know what we expect. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be shared with friends or family. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Joey Mack here with you. And man, I'll tell you, I am so excited for the future of Oregon distance running, particularly when you get a world-class runner herself as your coach. That's Shalane Flanagan. We talked with her for a number of different things that you'll see for Women in Flight campaigns, various Oregon track and field posts. So you'll notice, those of you on the radio, might sound a little different because in the TV terminology, we put a lav on her. We mic'd her up. I'm a broadcaster, and I can't even say it right. In any case, so we got to know Shalane Flanagan, and it was a really awesome conversation. Time in the studio. How are the lights? Hot? Bright?
Very bright.
Okay.
But it's great. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad. Well, hey, no, thank you for taking the time because I feel like for all of you heading into the cross-country season, a little bit of a whirlwind, and that's kind of how it should be, right? Like you're starting in a new job, you're starting a new profession. The first year of me doing this, I was useless. So I can only imagine what you guys are going through right now. Do you feel settled in? You feel like you're settling in?
Yes and no, but the phrase that has been reiterated since we arrived is, or the analogy is drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah.
And it's very accurate. And the visual is really great in my head of everyone just opening up their mouth and drinking from a fire hose. And it's true, it's overwhelming, but in the best possible way. I have done lots of training in my own personal career of running and been very fatigued through that training.
Yeah.
And I would say the first month here, that was more fatiguing than any training I ever did. But again, in the best possible way. I feel very challenged and really appreciative to be here.
I love that. All right, so nobody warned you about this, and this is how it is supposed to be. We have a tradition when somebody comes on the show for the first time, they're in the studio for the first time, you have to tell your 2-minute life story. It's your story. You have 2 minutes to tell it,
Wow.
and we will time you. There's a leaderboard. I'm not going to tell you what Jerry got, but he wants
He's
to know.
He's long-winded, so he for sure went over. I could just say in 30 seconds my life.
I mean, there's a leaderboard, so as close to 2 minutes as you can get it.
Okay, so like you don't want to be too short and you don't want to be too long.
Exactly.
Oh,
2 minutes seems like the perfect amount of time. We've been doing this now for like 6 years.
That seems long to me to talk about myself. Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
2-minute life story. Go.
Born 1981, July 8th, Boulder, Colorado. Moved to Boston, Massachusetts. Grew up there with an awesome sister, little brother, awesome parents who were my heroes. Was a runner, played soccer, swam, tried to play basketball, was terrible. Decent student athlete in high school. Went to the University of North Carolina on a full scholarship, thank you. And competed there, won some national titles, ended up running for Nike. I've been with Nike since 2004, made 4 Olympic teams, and won an Olympic medal, and won the New York City Marathon, was a bronze medalist in cross country. Did a lot of running for a long time, but I always knew that I wanted to be of service and use my knowledge and wanted to get into coaching, and started working with my mentor and coach at the Nike Bowerman Track Club, which then transitioned into my dream job. I've had a couple of dream jobs, but this is my top dream job of working at the University of Oregon and the Lady Ducks. And I have a son, and I write cookbooks, and life is pretty good.
Minute 24.02.
I knew I was not going to go long enough.
I thought that was pretty good, though. I mean, so you've got another 36 seconds if you want them. And really, it's funny because you could pretty much take that amount of time, and if you donated it to Jerry's story, you guys would actually both be at about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, though, that you were like, no, he went.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, he's a talker.
We've decided that next time that he comes on, that we'll just have to have him do it again.
Okay, great.
So
Sounds good.
If we're still
I can't wait to hear his life story. I wonder what got included and didn't.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
It was a good one.
Okay.
I have multiple follow-ups, as you can imagine. You imagine this as being a dream job. Everybody in the fan base right now is like, yes. Like you just made everybody applaud. Why? Obvious question. Why was it a dream job for you?
Growing up, I don't know that I would have known this about myself, that I wanted to be a coach. Growing up, I knew that I wanted to follow something that I was passionate about. And at first it was gravitating towards athletics. I loved, as a shy young girl, like athletics allowed me to be a lot more outgoing and a lot more myself. I felt most natural when I was playing sports. But yeah, like as I evolved through the different phases of being an athlete and then working in that environment of team and having great mentors and people in my life, and I think I really realized that I liked being surrounded by really excellent people and excellence. And so I think one of the best ways to be able to curate that in culture is through athletics, honestly. And so being, though, like a leader, I don't know if it was naturally always who I was, but I was definitely a really bossy older sister, so maybe it was kind of natural. But I do like creating a culture and a team environment, and so naturally, as I went through my own career, I just kept thinking like, man, yeah, I really want to be in that position of leadership. So
you mentioned that you felt like you were shy when you were
yeah,
younger.
extremely shy. Yeah.
Are you now?
I think so. Yeah. I think I'm forced to be an extrovert by the nature of what I do, but like I think I think we all need our downtime and decompression, and but yeah, I think it definitely takes a lot out of me to be an extrovert. I wouldn't say it's natural, but I know when I have to be and need to be, and that's okay though.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I have often said about myself that I'm an introvert who's forced to be an extrovert.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah,
I understand. Tell us about the season so far. Catch fans up.
Yeah.
You're heading into Pac-12s here coming up the following Friday from this week. What should fans know? What have you seen from your team so far?
I'm obsessed with my team. I really I didn't know coming to this job. I didn't recruit these women. I honestly didn't know much about them until we got the job, and I started to do my homework on them a little bit, stalking them online, just seeing what they were all about, their vibe. And yeah, again, like I never met them, any of them, ever before. So didn't know what to expect, had zero expectations, but absolutely thrilled with their commitment, their work ethic, their coachability, their responsiveness. Just really great women. And so I feel really honored that I get to work with them. And I think there's a mutual level of respect, and they want to work hard and they want to get better. And I've been working with them for 6 weeks, and I didn't know where it would go, but we have exceeded any possible expectation that I had for this team already. And we still have 5 more weeks in the season, and I still see room for growth and improvement. A lot of teams, start off really strong, they're already really fit. I think our trajectory is up, 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 up. So I just only see even better results coming. Yeah, I'm excited.
You just had the entire fan base clapping again. That's because it's amazing at a place like the University of Oregon, and I've said this before, like successful in so many sports, but track and field has set the standard. Like the vast majority of the national championships and Pac-12 championships, conference championships that have been won at the University of Oregon are track and field. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure for sure, but you strike me as somebody that really embraces that pressure and wants your student athletes to embrace that pressure. You want to be the best.
Pressure is a privilege. It's amazing. And I think the student athletes I get to work with realize that there's a certain level of expectation just by putting on the kit. And when we travel and we walk around, it's there's Oregon, and everyone knows in running the history and the heritage of Oregon. And that's a privilege to have that. Everyone's always expecting great things from us, and I expect the best from us as well. But it's fun to build and get us back up to where we need to be, and I'm excited for that process.
Pac-12 championships Friday. It's going to be here before we know it. Friday, October 28th. I'm going to have to say goodbye to you, but I want you to know that next time you're here, I'm going to ask you about your cookbooks.
Oh, sounds good. I'll bring muffins. Yeah. Superhero muffins.
You can come back anytime you want, Coach. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great to get to know Shalane Flanagan. I really enjoyed our conversations both with her and Jerry Schumacher. With the Pac-12 championships coming up tomorrow, you can tune in on Pac-12 Network. More preview on GoDucks.com. When we come back, your Toyota Women's Sports Schedule Spotlight. It shines bright on the end of Oregon women's soccer season. The Ducks down the home stretch with 3 matches left. They got to get a couple wins. Talk about that when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Meet Ed, movie buff, animal lover, safe driver.
5 years of driving an ambulance teaches you a thing or two. If people knew what I know, lives could be saved. When I see a car trying to rush past a turning bus, I get concerned. You see, when big vehicles turn right, they have to swing wide to make the turn. And that's a lesson you don't want to learn the hard way. When trucks and buses turn, let's you and I wait.
It's our roads. It's our safety. Visit www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
I've been driving trucks for a long time, and safety is my #1 priority. I know that my truck has huge blind spots. That's why I remember to check my mirrors often for smaller vehicles. Everyone can help keep our roads safe. Next time you're behind the wheel, try to avoid lingering in those blind spots. It can be dangerous. Let's all plan to share the road safely. Learn how at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Welcome back inside the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you. My thanks again to Shalane Flanagan and Todd McKim joining us today. And boy, it's a big one tonight. I will be watching not only some football this evening with Utah and Washington State in action, but this is a huge Oregon women's soccer matchup at Arizona State. It's on the ASU live stream, our Toyota Women's Sports Schedule Spotlight. Toyota, let's go places. So down the stretch, the Ducks are currently 2 games below 500. Now remember, in soccer for the tournament, you have to be 500 or better to be eligible for the tournament. So the Ducks need at least 2 more wins, and they can draw 1 game, one of the last 3, the trip to the desert. Then they'll play Oregon State at Pape Field next week. So they got to go at least 1-0-1 on this road trip. They've played some tight ones with Arizona State over the years, and since Graham Abel took over the program, it's been a few 1-goal matchups between these squads. 7 o'clock. ASU live stream to keep track of it. And then after they hopefully get a win tonight, if they're able to get another win on the road, and the Ducks have been really good on the road this season, 1 o'clock on Sunday against Arizona. Also on the Arizona live stream. No Pac-12 Network TV coverage for these games, but follow along because it's a big weekend for Oregon women's soccer. Really, it is down the stretch. And if they can get a couple wins on the road, that means they're coming back to Pape Field the following Friday, 7 o'clock. And it could be for a chance to go to the postseason. Good luck to Graham Abel's squad. Toyota Women's Sports Schedule Spotlight. Tomorrow we're doing the show a little early if you're listening and watching live from noon to 1. Picks and Oregon Cal preview. See you then.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033.